Welcome to another episode of the APL Spotlight Series. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, here to not just share what they know, but sometimes to interact a little more than the regular APL show, which, by the way, that is booked out into December of 2025 at this point. 308 episodes. We've got over 500,000, 16 channel visits to date. Don't be shy, comment, share, like. Your support means everything to us. Get the word out about the show. Who else out there has guests interacting with angels? You can see auras. You can catch Sage through two screens. Coming back to us, although you haven't seen his first show. He's episode 159 on Sunday, December 22nd. So you got to wait a month or so, 2 months. You'll see his origin story then. He's an artist, photographer, much more, plugged in, mystic, has had a lot of life experience, great sense of humor, great attitude. If you're going to sum him up, it's thank you, I love you. He's got the best mantra on the planet. He shortened that Hawaiian one just a little bit, but he got it direct from the universe. Bravo Valenti is joining us. I like Bravo a lot. I'm planning on having him back. This is going to become the Bravo channel from time to time. Bravo, good to see you again. You're a pistol. You're a lot of fun. And I just love the wisdom that you bring to all of us.
When you have an ex-wife who shot someone with a pistol that you purchased for her, I don't like being called a pistol, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, not about the ex-wife. That was a true story. I mean, you could call me a pistol. It's okay. I have to have a sense of humor about these types of family traumas because that was an actual family trauma. There was a murder, and you know about that. And people who read my book called Thank You, I Love You can learn more about that story. But that's not what the book's about. That's only part of what the book's about. It's about a lot more than that. But one of the things that I like to stress is that no matter how tragic, how traumatic, you gotta keep a sense of humor.
And you do that. And that's what you're sharing through all your artwork, your photography. Yeah, I think you had it all along. For you to come this late into your photography, your artwork stuff, I mean, did it find you or did you find it? How do you want to describe that briefly?
My son saw it in me. I mean, that's more of my origin story, but my son actually was one who guided me into becoming an artist. When he saw 3 photographs I had taken and was quite surprised that I had taken them. I guess he didn't think I could ever take pictures that good. But I didn't know anything about photography at the time. I mean, I've always loved photography. I grew up in New York. We were culture vultures, went to museums as a kid, always into the arts as a consumer, not as an artist, as an appreciator of the arts. And so I grew up surrounded by the arts, by music, by foreign movies, by Hollywood movies, by live performance, music from all over the world. My dad was in the music industry. So I was exposed, the Museum of Modern Art, the Metropolitan Museum. That's New York. You're growing up in New York, you're exposed to these things. But I think, to be quite frank, I think very often, and this is advice I would have for parents, that if you overly stress the greatness of art to the point where your child is so in awe of how amazing all this art is, you can kind of scare the artist out of the child. The artist is like, oh, I could never do that. There's something about that that's so, I mean, look how people are just in awe of that. How could I ever, right, accomplish that? So art, it takes a special type of parent to nurture the artist's personality. It really does. And a lot of times parents think they're doing the right thing. A kid paints something and a parent says, oh my gosh, that looks like a Van Gogh. And the parent thinks that they're making the kid feel great that they can paint as well as Van Gogh. But the kid feels like, oh, I just copy Van Gogh. I don't have my own voice. I don't have my own style. I'm just knocking off Van Gogh. So you got to be careful, folks. Raising artists is difficult. It really is. In fact, I think you'll find that lots of great musicians and lots of great artists is because their parents are also great musicians or great artists.
Okay, talk to us about spirituality a little bit. What's this been for you in terms of trusting that inner voice, trusting the universe, trusting certain energies or flows? How do you describe it all?
I was probably the least spiritual person on the planet for the greater part of my life. I I'm not going to say I was someone who walked around and said, I don't think I was ever someone who was an atheist. I think I always felt the presence of a God force, of a universe, of an energy that transcends this dimension. I never was interested in traditional religion. Uh, I mean, I found it interesting from a intellectual perspective or historical perspective, but not to participate. And it really wasn't until I began meditating. Meditation ended up, that was really the beginning. Um, I had started meditating really just as a means of relaxation because of this horrible trauma that occurred to my family. And I was so stressed out by what happened that I said, I've got to try something to just stay calm. And I said, well, I'll try meditation. And I instantly had third eye awareness. So I think, and which I found very interesting that I've spoken to many people who meditate who tell me they don't have third eye awareness, which I find hard to believe. It almost seems impossible to me that you could meditate and within a relatively, for some people it might take a few days or a few hours, but I would think you would have third eye awareness right away. But I've spoken to people who've meditated for years and say they're still not sure what third eye awareness is. But I had it instantly, and that really changed the way I viewed our connection to source.
Can you share a moment where the universe literally stepped in and you're still today shaking your head over that interaction, that it was beyond what the thinking mind can grasp?
Yeah, very specific moment. I had been I had gotten involved with a sort of a spiritual community here in LA that was an, not a non-denominational, so a little bit on the new age side, but mostly meditation oriented, but also involved with a lot of socially conscious issues. It was a very interesting group called Full Circle that was started by an actor here, a well-known, who was sort of a teen heartthrob, Andrew Keegan, back in the day. And he started this group. It was a fantastic group of artists and healers and just really amazing people. And I'd gone to a sound bath that they had a brilliant sound bath artist that was involved at the time, Ryan Say, who performed a sound bath that just took me beyond anything I'd ever experienced. And the next day, wow, amazing. Andrew, nice seeing you. Andrew Kagan, that's the artist, that's the actor. And I really was a phenomenal leader of this group. And the next morning, after this sound bath, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, went outside, and my neighborhood was completely silent. Now, I live in mid-city Los Angeles, which at 5 in the morning is very, very quiet. But there's always somebody or some sound, a car, something, nothing, total silence. And so I go walking over a couple of blocks to Beverly, which is the busier street. It's a very busy street. And at 5 in the morning, it's still going to be very quiet, but there's always something. And I get to Beverly, there's not a car on the road. And I see this tall, very ragged, homeless guy, black guy with matted hair and no shoes, and his heels are cracked. And I think to myself, I don't want to deal with this at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm going to just cross the street and avoid this guy. And as I'm getting ready to cross the street, I think to myself, not as an intellectual thought, I literally get this sense. What if the reason I haven't heard anybody or seen anything is this guy and I are the last two people in our dimension where we were meant to keep each other company? And this is all there is now, me and him. Kind of like Waiting for Godot, the Samuel Beckett play. I mean, like some really strange existential thing that took over my mind. And so I said, how can I cross the street and avoid this only other soul that exists? And so I go walking closer to the guy. And as I get next to him, my soul left my body. For the first time in my entire life, I was able to see my soul. I was able to see that I was not a body, but that I'm a soul inside a body. And when I saw that soul, when I saw my soul, I lost all fear of everything, all fear of death. Death had no more meaning. I realized that I had lived many times before, that I'll live many times again. And my soul went back into my body. And I had my camera with me, and the homeless guy looks at me and he says, with the most erudite voice, "So, what may I ask, are you out shooting this morning?" And I turn to him and I go, "The city, the light, the neighborhood, the people." He goes, "Ah, the crazy juxtaposition of it all." And I look at him and I go, you said it better than I did. And he said, "Well, you have a great day." And I said, "You too." And I took a couple of steps and a car suddenly came and the day started to go.
Did you ever hear who that was that you ran into?
I do. I do. And his name, he's actually a well-known homeless person here who I did not know at the time, who's sort of a, a homeless beatnik kind of a guy, who's actually quite talented and very bright. And he's written actually some journalism about homelessness that's been published here in LA. And his name is Bum Dog Torres.
Hmm.
People can look him up. He actually has put on YouTube some really interesting stuff about cinema and making movies. He knows quite a bit about filmmaking. He's kind of an interesting character.
I love it. Okay, what else? What's been at the forefront like this summer, this fall? What's been sort of the most resounding message you've been experiencing, what you've been sharing with others? What's been the latest lesson you've been having to take in, or what have you been having to let go of to appreciate more of?
Well, it's been a bit of a difficult year in many respects, and yet everything's okay. And the year started off, a friend of mine, a guy that not a close friend, a guy that I did a lot of business with many years ago before I was an artist, called me up after 10 years. We hadn't spoken in 10 years. And we had kind of left things off. We kind of left things off in a bad way. There was a little bit of um, it wasn't anything so terrible, but we didn't leave on the best of terms. And after 10 years, he called me up, "Hey, feel bad that, things left off that way. How you doing?" And he asked to read the manuscript of my book when I told him that I'd written a book, but I told him the book wasn't finished yet. And he insisted on reading the book. And I let him read the book. And he became so enthusiastic about the book, he insisted that I finish it immediately. And he thought the message was so important. It is a very important message for the world, the book. I mean, it really has a really important message, not just the "thank you, I love you," but why the "thank you, I love you." And he ended up having a stroke and dying only a few days later.
Hmm.
A short time, excuse me, I apologize. 1 year later. 1 year later. But so the year kind of started with him passing away. And I then had a major art show that had been scheduled that the place never ended up opening.
Mm.
And so it was a lot of, things that seemed right. So the big lesson was I'm still okay, right? Life is still, everything's okay. It's you gotta let go of worry. You have to, and it's going to get tested sometimes for a longer period of time than you might hope or expect. You might have to let go of worry and say to yourself, well, I let go of worry, everything's going to be okay, but then everything's still not okay. Well, you still have to let go of worry. It, you can't, well, I let go of worry 4 times in a row and things still aren't what I want. It doesn't stop. You just have to let go of worry. You really do.
I'm going to put up an angel photo for you. This is the APL Spotlight Series. We're a little more hands-on sometimes. You did a conservative show for us in December, again, episode 159, but then you took steps on that show as well. Here's Joy. Hear what you need to hear about all the different ebbs and flows from this year. And what's she say about worry versus just breathing and going with the flow? What do
Yeah,
you
no,
hear?
Joy agrees. Joy agrees. Let go of that worry. Just go with the flow. There is nowhere else you can go if you really think about it.
And then I want to go back to the guy on the street, if I could, for the original story. Here's Min, Pacific Princess, Mother Hawaii, if you want, an angel who's just soft-spoken professor, light waves of energy and water. Do you mind asking her yes or no? Is there more to the story that morning? And I'll put up Charlotte to do a little reveal. You don't have to share it all out loud. But is it a yes or is it a no from Min about Beverly and that walk you took when it was really quiet? Is there just a little more reveal to be had?
Oh, no, no,
Nothing else.
no.
Okay, and I'll put up Charlotte just in case. Was there any other angels guiding you behind the scenes or doing something else that morning?
Only that the night before, the sound bath was quite an experience. It was a sound bath that had Reiki healers that would touch you while your eyes were closed and you were listening to the sound bath. And there was a Reiki healer who my eyes were closed and I was literally seeing the most magnificent colors and experiencing cosmic consciousness in a way that was just beyond anything I'd ever experienced. And this Reiki healer came by and put her fingers on my eyes, touched my eyelids, and everything went black. And it kind of upset me a little bit. I was kind of like, what, cut off all of this incredible explosion of beauty. And I said to myself, just go with the flow. Everything went black. Feel her fingers on your eyelids. Feel how beautiful they feel. Forget about the colors. Just feel her fingers. And the sound bath artist, Ryan Say, suddenly segued into a song about heart space. And as I listened to these lyrics about heart space, I thought to myself, I never think about heart space. I know about my heart. I think about my heart. What do they mean by heart space? And the Reiki healer took her fingers off my eyelids, and I immediately felt a massive tree burst out of my heart. I mean, think of like Jack and the Beanstalk, but like a mighty tree, a tree with, really strong branches, not a beanstalk, a tree with big branches that went on forever. And I was like looking at the immensity of this forest that burst out of my chest. And I thought to myself, Bravo, you have had so much love repressed inside your heart space that now that you've been given permission to open up your heart space. Look at how much has been kept down, how much love there is. It blew me away. I was in tears. And then the next morning was when I had that experience with my soul separating from my body.
Now, if you were going to have to pen another book all about heart space, and it was some sort of an instruction, 4 p.m. tomorrow, whoever's watching wants to learn more about their heart space, can you give a couple tips what they could do to just slow down a little, at least, to start exploring their own heart?
Wow. Well, the first is always use the mantra. Thank you. I love you. And, I even tell people First of all, let me say one thing. I've noticed that there's a lot of men who have trouble saying thank you, I love you. That the I love you to another man. You know, there are men, not all men, not the average man. There are some men. You know, I'm not saying what percentage, but I've noticed this, I've witnessed this. Men that will say, you know, I love that mantra. That's great. Thank you, Bravo. And yet there are others that will always say, thank you, I love you, right? And then if I go, thank you, I love you, they go, thank you. They still won't say the I love you. Don't be afraid to say I love you. Don't be afraid. I promise you, it's not going to lead to you redefining your sexuality, or it might. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Just thank you. I love you. And you can use thank you. I love you to begin opening up your heart space. Absolutely. But I tell people who are maybe not so ready to feel like they want to jump in and open up their heart space. I say, you know, you could use the mantra, thank you, I love you, even sarcastically. Somebody is honking at you while you're looking at your cell phone, you know, when you shouldn't be, and you're holding up the traffic, and they start honking you really loud instead of just a polite little boop, boop, right there, you know, get out of my way, pal, right? And you can just go, or somebody cuts you off, or they're in the wrong, or whatever. You can literally say, thank you. Thank you. I really love you for doing that. You know, you could be sarcastic about it. It'll still work. Trust me. Thank you. I love you could be used even with sarcasm. It will change your life.
And here's an artistic challenge for the artist who's, again, an amazing photographer, well established, well documented in episode 159, December 22nd. People need to check that out. Let's go beyond words for just a little bit. If you don't mind putting a hand or two on your heart and just feel what you can feel in front of us. Go within. You love shutting your eyes and feeling what you can feel. If you can bring the whole universe in or simply allow it to flow through you where it already was in your heart, when you do come out in anywhere from 15 to 50 seconds, or take a whole minute, share with us what you can. But if you also don't mind breathing through the mouth extra and seeing that light again from the sound bowl evening, have it all come in, including extra dimensional light that we have absolutely no explanation for. It wasn't green, it wasn't turquoise, but it was close to aquamarine blue. And I can barely say those words. Have someone wowsy you, whatever wowsy means, wowsy, wowsy. So they're bringing in a lot of extra flow. Audrey Hepburn, Joy, Charlotte, your own guardian angel. Catch flowers or some sort of scent beyond flowers that, again, you can't tell if it's perfume or where it meets the flower, or vice versa, or Wika Worka. Beyond structure, beyond words. Now, what are you getting for us? Because now you got to come back and share, and now you have to talk.
Well, I think I rediscovered something inside me that I used to feel more profoundly all day, every day, and that I haven't been really feeling as present in, which is there was a long period during my awakening where I literally felt connected to every other person on the planet. Every other person, the entire planet. I couldn't wake up not thinking about everyone. Almost like a teacher walking into a school, into their classroom, and seeing that there's 20 different students, not just a bunch of people sitting at desks. They see each of the 20 students, you know, oh, Andrea's here and Michael's here and Susie's here, and they see every student. And I would every day kind of see every person on the planet. I'd see people in refugee camps. I'd see people in office buildings. I'd see people stuck in traffic. I'd see people on the sidewalks. I could feel the presence of everybody everywhere. Soldiers fighting at war, photographers taking pictures at a wedding. I could feel everybody everywhere doing everything all at the same time. And that I was just me in the middle of all that. And lately, I haven't been feeling, I just realized during this exercise that we did that was when my heart was at its most full, its most giving and its most receiving.
Talk to us about mankind, humanity. Um, it's an equal opportunity job for mankind. They've got something called density or thinking or judging or knowing that precludes possibility. We do a lot of it. I'm about to get to it after the show in 30, 40, 50 minutes. I'll be right back to thinking again. It's only eclipsed by our ability to love. We all have big hearts, even if we've been running away for decades to avoid being in the one place that matters. Talk to us about what's up here versus awareness, timelessness, limitlessness, or whatever you want to call it, no limits, or more love, more awareness. Give us the patented Bravo Valenti take on humanity.
Well, there's a big trend today. People talk about mindfulness, being mindful. And I say it's time to be mindlessness. It's time to let go of your mind and to become heartful. When we work from the heart, right? I'll take a moron with a big heart over a genius with no heart, right? So I'd rather live in a world that is heart driven more than mind driven. But of course, we have to have balance. Obviously, I don't mean shut off your mind and never use your mind, right? First of all, when you really let go and you discover mindlessness, a lot of people might be thinking, well, why would I want to be mindless? Why would I want to be empty? Why would I want to have no thoughts? Why would I want, because I used to think that way. People would say, when you meditate, it's so that you get to this state where you have no thought. And I was like, but I like thinking. I want to think all the time. I was a compulsive thinker. And what you learn when you truly achieve mindlessness is that it's not for the purpose of staying empty. It's to be empty so that you can now receive intelligence greater than your own, so that you can tap in to cosmic intelligence, so that you can tap into not the mind traps that you're creating through neurotic behavior and socialization, but to free yourself from all of that so you can begin to receive pure thoughts, pure intelligence, cosmic intelligence.
Okay, we almost touched on Korean Zen. Don't know mind. I love it. But we'll just hopscotch over to Joshu, another Zen famous philosopher. I don't know, Zen master. I'll do a quote, classic quote. This is Joshu translated, I don't know, 756 AD. I have no idea. But it's sitting on a book behind me with the last name of the translator being Green. I've shown it before on the show. There's a student who runs up to a Zen master trying to prove that he's kind of graduated the class and ready to hang his own shingle out and be a Zen master pretty much immediately. Add water, instant Zen master. But he comes running up to the teacher and he says, "What about it when I seek to be Buddha?" And the teacher says, "What a tremendous waste of energy." And this isn't a student who's going to quit and go back to his studies. So he's got to come back real quick. And it is, "Well, what about it when I don't waste energy?" And the teacher says, "In that case, you are Buddha." What does that mean about not wasting energy? Is it about being in the heart more?
If you go against the flow, by definition, you're wasting energy, right? If if you go with the flow, you're tapped into cosmic energy, which is the greatest energy that there is, right? And it doesn't necessarily flow the way you think it's supposed to flow. But if you let it flow and you go with it, you will see that it will take you further than where you would get on your own.
I feel like you're describing your photography journey and your artistry journey and simply allowing your abilities to come out. Can you talk to us about how quickly you developed your photography skills, your artist skills?
Well, I was really lucky. First of all, anyone who wants to see my photography, it's on my website, bravovalenti.com. And you can see my paintings, my photography, etc. Because to talk about photography and not know what it looks like is, my paintings you can see behind me a little bit, but my photography you'll see on bravovalenti.com. But the answer to your question is very interestingly, as soon as I looked through a camera with a couple of lenses that my son had given me with the instructions to go down and play with the lenses and look through a camera and see if I saw anything, and I immediately understood that photography was a, a portal to another dimension and to many other dimensions. But I didn't really develop, I think I had an eye right away because I talk about this in my book and people can read about how my son guided me into photography, but I did have a lot of help. I mean, I was blessed to have a son who really every night would sit down with me with whatever I shot that day and color correct and crop and have aesthetic discussions about. I mean, what a blessing to have a guy with his knowledge of photography and lenses, because he was an expert in it, literally say to me, no, just crop that one little drop more, just take that down, do this, do that, where I really developed a finer sensibility and a greater knowledge of aesthetics than I would have on my own. But I think I had a certain amount that was natural too.
And you described that quite aptly again in episode 159, Sunday, December 22nd. I'll plug it for the fifth time. The beach, that assignment from your son, just absolutely incredible. Love that. People need to check that out. Put a comment in. And talk to us about how photography has been like life, or life like photography. They say you develop, from the negative. And so whether we're talking our lives and walking a smoother path, or photography itself. What have you been learning from photography this whole time that has applicability for all of us to walk a smoother path?
There was an interesting metaphor that you used because about negatives, because today with digital photography there is no negative.
Mm-mm.
And I started with digital photography, and in film photography you actually would see the negative of the image. And with photography today, you could be a photographer and never see a negative unless you did it in Photoshop or with whatever program and turned it into a negative. But the photo is shot as a positive, right, as a photo in digital. But I think that for everyone, that because everyone today is a photographer. When I grew up, everyone was a really bad photographer. The average person took the most horrific photos. People stuck their finger in front of the lens. It took them years to learn how to not put their finger in front of the lens. Today, people make fun of all the people doing selfies and everyone walking around with their camera. But the truth of the matter is that if you go on Instagram or you go on TikTok or whatever, the amount of fantastic photography, just amazing photography, that because the cameras are so good on the phones and the color correction and everything is there, that even if it's a little underlit, you could, light it. You could do all those things instantly without having a dark room and the expense of chemicals and all of that. So today, the average person is an infinitely better photographer than when I grew up. Now, that being said, it therefore makes it that much harder to be a really great photographer, to do something that nobody else is doing, or to capture things in a way that really make people think and see differently. So I would say don't let photography, the ease at which it now is possible to be a really good photographer, don't let that turn you into someone who thinks that just because your photos are well lit and you're capturing good stuff, don't think that therefore you're a great photographer. You're a good photographer. Push yourself, push yourself. And I especially tell people to push themselves with their selfies. If people go to my Instagram, not my Instagram, my Facebook in the next few days, I'm going to put up a thing. My Facebook is Bravo Valenti Live, Facebook/Bravo Valenti Live. And I'm going to put up a whole collection of my selfies, because I am so bored of seeing people with the selfies in the mirror and all these selfies in the exact same selfie and women making the same expressions in their selfies. I'm going to show you selfies that are going to blow your mind. I've got a collection of selfies that are so creative, so different, so funny, so ominous, so strange, so surreal. You'll see what you can do with selfies. I just want to encourage people, play around with your selfies.
And let's play around with the angels for just a second. Although a hot Plato, spirit guide, loving figure, no hugs for him. They're sweaty. A fist pump works. And a fairy named Ginger, so you can have more fun. Here's four archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. Hear something about something. And if you don't mind sharing it out loud, what are you hearing about? And what can you talk about a little bit?
Well, I'm named after an archangel because my real name is Michael. Bravo is my artistic name. And so I'm named after an archangel. And every Gabriel that I've ever met has been an angel. Who tell me the names of the third and fourth angels?
Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, but I can do it a different way. Here's Michael directly, and here's Gabriel directly. What do they got for all of us? What are they sharing with you?
Well, Gabriel, every archangel, every Gabriel I've ever met has been an angel in my life. And they're wise. They're the wisest of the angels. I think Michael is the most happy-go-lucky of the angels. He's the angel that's kind of trying to make you feel like everything's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
How about this? I've got a fairy named Ginger. She keeps it light and easy. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a close up. What is, you can hear a high peppy wee. And what does she have as a reminder for all of us?
Ginger is Ginger is very comfortable in her own skin. And she wants you to know that whether you're an angel or in corporeal form, both have to be comfortable in their skin. Don't assume that when you leave your body, your soul doesn't have to be comfortable in that ethereal skin. It also has to become comfortable. And you have to become comfortable in your body. You have to.
Okay, and that's a good philosophical question for Plato, which is owning what you've got. Love more, allow more, show love daily. And here's Plato. You can see the old man's face. If you want to put a hand out and just feel the vibe, you can do that. And anybody who needs extra help, breathe extra. If you want to catch an ancient Greek incense, don't even know if they had it, never done that before. We've done India, we've done Native American incense and smells. Feel what you can feel, catch a smell in the air.
My nose is so stuffed. I have two deviated septums. When I get stuffed, I can't smell a thing, but I actually could smell your sage earlier. But right now, I'm being honest. My nose is so stuffed, I don't know if I'm smelling anything.
No worries. Catch an insight from him that you can share with everybody, and I'll light some sage again, and everyone can smell sage.
I will share with everyone from Plato. Discover the Stoics.
All right, you ready
People
for
have
a little bit
forgotten
of
in our society today, we don't talk very much about Stoicism. Study Stoicism. It'll change your life.
and people can meet this might not be all the Stoics or that exact crew, but people can meet Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Socrates, Plato. I might have skipped one.
You know your Stoics.
I hopefully got a few of them. I never get anything quite straight or right, but I do have a little bit of sage lit. No matter how stuffed up you are, if you let the universe do its job, it's just energy coming in. It's how an answer can be English for us, but if a Japanese person in Tokyo is watching, they can get their answers in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese. Get what you need. Allow Plato, allow Joy, Ginger, the fairy, archangels to bring you a little sage, plus a little something else. It could be butterscotch, it could be wisteria, lavender. Catch some extra fragrance in the air that you're like, wow. And I'm going to say wowsy again for some reason today. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay. Are you getting the sage at least, Bravo?
It's crazy because my nose is so stuffed, I don't smell anything in my own home, and yet I smell your sage.
And here, close your eyes, ask for a big hug from anybody, everybody. Go all Bravo Valenti on everyone
Plenty.
because you got a huge heart, but then catch an extra fragrance. It's something unique. Ask for it. You have to set your intent. You have to allow, ask, and receive.
And you want me to ask you for the fragrance itself or just
Just ask the
to myself?
universe, who's going to say no to you, Bravo? No one. Literally. Not when you're in your heart. Okay, close your eyes, make that request, see what you get. Just go full stop into that big heart, the stillness that you described on Beverly. And you might as well ask
Okay.
Charlotte if there was an angel actually helping out with that fellow. Did an angel actually jump into him at all? Did an angel help guide you invisibly out of bed to make sure you went to that spot? Here's Charlotte again. I'm circling back. I've never been this pushy on any show out of 235 shows recorded. Is there anybody who was helping you out in some way? She can do a little reveal. Was like Abe, the Abraham of old, an angel? Was he actually in his field, the homeless artistic guy? Were you meeting an angel plus a human in that moment?
Wow.
Charlotte can just tell you one way or the other. It's okay if the answer is no. I'm just pestering.
I don't feel like I'm getting an answer. I feel like the answer that I'm getting is you remember very specifically, Bravo, how things went that night. And so now I almost have to sort of like go back and relive that night to feel as if I think when the Reiki healer put the
The,
finger on my eye, that's like touched by an angel. I think that was a touched by an angel moment.
yeah, and that moment, by the way, is very common in the book Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. And that gas station attendant, played by Nick Nolte in the 2006-5 movie, was an angel named, I mean, he went by Socrates in the film. Nick Nolte was at his best, I would argue, in that film. Very Disney like gymnastics film if you weren't paying attention. Spirituality, yeah, sure, if you were. But you can meet that angel named Herb, who's like a big kahuna type, and a lot of fun. Here, catch something else about that whole thing. It was no accident. Hear what the big purpose was. You got given a beautiful moment and just have her put a ribbon on it. But then the human mind, we never ask for a second serving. So if you want, ask for another one of these incredible moments coming up. By the time we get you back on the show again, maybe you'll be able to share that with us.
Wow, that was one. I've had a few moments that were on the same that were as big. I mean, that was probably the. I mean, that's a big one. But I've had a few moments that were way, way, way up there. And when you ask for another one, it's going to be pretty intense. It's going to be very intense, I'm sure.
If you don't ask, you don't get, like a
That's
raise,
true.
a date. Okay, Bravo. What's this all about again? Is the universe really big? And how do we stay out of controlling everything and keeping it tamped down? That's all we know how to do from the neck up. A lot of structure, a lot of words, a lot of limits. Where if it's a casino, I'm shocked to see there's gambling going on in this casino. That's the brain. How do we handle just wide openness through the heart? Thank you. I love you.
Well, the mantra is to use the mantra. But let me say that when you achieve mindlessness in meditation and you're seeing through your third eye, you will get to a point, and I also tell this to people who use psychedelics. I want to point something out about psychedelics in a moment. That when you are seeing truly through your third eye, people use this expression, everything is energy. Everything is energy, everything is energy, but it's almost like a cliche. What does it really mean? Right? Well, energy, light is energy, sound is energy, color is energy. They're wavelengths, they're frequencies, they're vibration. All cosmic intelligence is vibration from the original Big Bang, right? From the original beginning of the universe. When you are truly mindless and looking through your third eye, you will experience the vibrations of cosmic intelligence in light, sound, and color. And when you do that, you will understand that you can literally calibrate. We use this expression, shift your consciousness. Well, I used to think that shifting your consciousness meant reading a new book that would teach you something new, or think differently, or learn something that changes your way of thinking. But when you're experiencing cosmic consciousness, when you're actually in the state of pure connection to consciousness, you can literally shift your consciousness by shifting the conscious, actually shifting your consciousness. You can reposition your consciousness. It's wild. Now, a lot of people when they take psychedelics will have these incredible imagery that goes through their mind, hallucinations, imagery, whether they believe it's hallucination or whether they believe they're looking into other dimensions that actually exist and that these are not hallucinations, however you want to define it. But you are still looking at objective matter. You are looking at imagery. So, in Hinduism, when they talk about the world as an illusion, we live in an illusion. And I think it was, I'm trying to think which Indian guru said this, but it was very funny. But there was an Indian guru once said, Westerners think that we're like idiots in India, that we think that a table is an illusion. It's not really a table. It's not really, we're not idiots. We know there's a table there. What we're saying is that, when you see that table, are you really seeing what goes on around that table? Are you seeing the role that when you drive past a mansion, do you know whether or not the people inside that home are happy or unhappy, right? But you're fooled by the illusion of what you're looking at. That's what they're talking about. Well, on psychedelics, has it ever occurred to many people who use psychedelics that the dimensions that they're looking at are also illusion? That just because it looks completely different from this reality, those other realities that you're seeing are maybe also hiding from you what's behind them. Because if everything is energy, then everything is really light, sound, frequency, vibration. So unless you get past all of the imagery, whether it's psychedelic or in this hard reality that we live in, you are still living in a mental trap to a certain extent. And
Construct.
you have to construct. That was the word. That was the word I was looking for. A mental construct. Very good. Thank you. I love you for that. That is great.
I don't try. I've done things on this show. Speaking up like that, that's a first for me. Here's Joy. Do you mind asking for a little bit of that extra dimensional fun and a lot of joy and love in a second? I'll put my hand up in Texas. If you'll either be the hand with all of you or put your hands up. Yep. And I'll wish you some joy, but it's really angels doing their thing. I'm already feeling heat on my palm. Are you feeling it?
My hands are so red, they're on fire.
So are you, that's a yes. You're feeling something. Vibration.
Uh-huh.
I didn't do it. Blame angels. Okay, here comes first whoosh. A lot of invisible rainbow light, but if anybody wants to see it, all you have to do is let go and ask for it. Here it is. Feel it on your back, on your stomach, on your head, on your hands, of course. Did you get a little whoosh of rainbow light via angels? Kind. Thank you. I love you, angels.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bigger and then I'll do it one more time after this. But bigger can be better. It's okay. Good mantra. Okay, here we go. Catch a little Hawaii in the air this time. And Bravo, did you get that one A-okay?
I think these bells that are ringing are these angels ringing their little bells.
Shoot, and I was supposed to do the third one. We'll do what I forgot to tell you something. The Unstruck Bell from India, the Unstruck Bell. I'm blanking on that author. Uh, S. Warren. I can't remember his first name, but he's got a son who also penned really amazing books. S. Warren. The Unstruck Bell. You can still get an ohm-like sound of the universe that's stillness itself. Don't ask me how. It's way beyond my pay grade, but you're going to get the equivalent of an unstruck bell. Here comes the big one. Go big, go home. You're already home. Let's go big. Here we go. I can catch a little Hawaii too. And you may as well get a little art inspiration or a reminder about something on top of everything else. What'd you get on that last one?
Well, I definitely got a little Hawaii. I um, I find the exercises that you've created to be so powerful and so unique. Uh, it's quite an experience.
Well, hey, I had the words for you on a run today. You're a oh shoot, now I've lost the words, but it was very good. It was philosopher, mystic, but something like that. And I had a witty way to say it because you're very attuned. You know how to take the experience and turn it into translatable words that others can relate to, and then stay open enough to allow for the same experience. So with that, you are a modern day philosopher about this stuff. Talk to us about whatever it was that just transpired. Is just love available in infinite qualities, any which way and loose?
I think that the bell rang to say that I'm about to say something profound, and the the the, the fact of the matter is that the I think the profoundest thing that I can possibly say is don't worry, be happy, be loving, and be grateful. Those four things will carry you through life beyond any beyond beyond any monetary support you get, beyond any physical capabilities that you have, beyond any intellectual capability that you have. Your ability, because I've met people with great intellectual capability who worry and who are miserable, and I've met people who have great physical strength and are not happy. I've met people who uh, have material wealth beyond your wildest imagination and have zero gratitude. Zero. So because having gratitude doesn't mean, oh, I'm so grateful that I got a brand new car. That's not gratitude. That's not what we mean by gratitude, right? That's ego. That's merely ego, right?
Can you be the playwright filmmaker for just a second? Here's the construct. Poor Sally or Joe just woke up out of bed and they got flooded with human thoughts about this situation, this dynamic. They're out of bed, they're headed down the hallway. Can you write the script for they're about to pass a kitchen counter in an apartment, a home? How can they pump the brakes, slow their roll, and do, I don't know if you want to call it a ritual of some sort? It could be lighting a candle, start making tea, have a cup of mint tea. What's the harm in a cup of mint tea? It might change everything for you. How can a person walking down that hallway, about to emerge into a living room, a kitchen area, something, pump the brakes, slow their roll, get out of the brain and the head, and start to appreciate? I'll give one last 10-second delay to buy you extra time, not that you need it in the slightest, but those recessed pot lights that you usually see in modern day kitchens now. If anybody, before they know their name, they haven't brushed their teeth, taken a shower, they haven't had a cup of coffee yet, and we're back to tea in a second. If you look up at those recessed pot lights, you might actually see a rainbow around them the size of a beach ball. The second your thinking kicks in, it shrinks a little. The second you start saying, well, that's really pretty, and whoa, I've been looking at it for 45 seconds, but now I'm analytical about it. What the hell am I seeing? It shrinks more until finally you killed it with a lot of thought and you're back fully in the brain. You're no longer in the heart. Now you have the ability to instruct us on, you've got a lot of experience. What do we do? Do we make that cup of mint tea? How do we slow our roll? Bravo. You're now a playwright or a filmmaker. What do we do?
Wow. Now, let me just clarify one thing. It was a married couple or a couple like
Just anybody who's listening, I just picked random folks. They've gotten out of bed before they even know their name. They're not awake. How
but
can
they're
they
together. These two people are together or they're in different locations?
solo? It doesn't matter. Apartment in
Oh,
Chicago, a home
oh,
in
oh,
Houston, but a person,
gotcha.
how do they grab that stillness that you felt that morning in LA? And how do they
Right.
expand it a little, or at least buy time before it goes away?
I can't overemphasize the value of the mantra. When you step into the kitchen, you're going in there, oh, I want to get the orange juice. Or, oh my, I need a cup of coffee. Or, oh my God, I need a tea. Or, oh, I'm running late for work. And the first thought that comes to your head is something you're worried about, something that you're trying to accomplish, or something that you desire, something that you crave. If instead the first thing you did was say, thank you, I love you, to my kitchen, where you're here every morning to provide me with the orange juice that comes from orange trees that grow in our earth. Thank you, earth. I'm going to have my coffee. Coffee comes from a plant that grows on earth. Thank you, earth. Without earth, we would have nothing. We ourselves are made magnesium, iron, calcium. We are made out of the earth. So if you start your day with thank you, I love you, it will be a practice that will bring miracles into your life, whether you believe in miracles or don't, because I didn't believe in miracles. I didn't believe miracles exist. I don't believe, I was someone who did not believe in the concept of a miracle. I believe if something happened that people thought was miraculous, there's a scientific explanation, and it is not a miracle. Well, the great Indian mystic Yogananda once said that everything a mystic experiences, such as miracles, science will one day explain. That maybe a million years from now, but you don't need science to explain to you why miracles happen. If you use the mantra and use this type of practice, the miracles will happen, and just accept them and be thankful and grateful and loving that those miracles happen to you.
So gratitude and love, Cuisinart. Gratitude and love, Tropicana. Gratitude and love,
Oh,
Ozarka.
no. Gratitude and love to the orange trees that produce the oranges. The corporatizing of the oranges, well, you have to be thankful. You have to be thankful that they've made the orange juice available to you when it's out of season and all of those things. But try to connect directly by having fresh squeezed orange juice so that you have a much more direct connection to Earth without sending all your money to corporate America.
Oh, what would you like to leave us with for any other reminders or anything else? This is going live, within 24 hours. So is there a workshop you wanted to share that people could jump on?
Well, I have a workshop on Saturday here in Venice Beach, California. If anybody would like to come, they can contact you and you can let them know. Or if they want to email, can I give my email address? If they
Yeah,
want to email,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's info@bravovalenti.com. Very easy, info@bravovalenti.com. And I will assure you whether or not there's a seat available. There's only room for 15 people. And we've got about 11 right now. So anyone who wants to come, 2 to 5 at a place called the Circular Library in Venice Beach. And we're going to be doing scribbling and painting our clothes into abstract expressionist art pieces. And so bring an extra item of clothing, a t-shirt, a denim jacket, a pair of jeans, whatever you want to turn into a abstract expressionist wearable work of art. But we're going to do scribbling, and you're going to discover how scribbling creates new neural pathways, rewires and upcycles your brain, and opens up the portal to cosmic consciousness as well. And will even help you release some of your hidden superpowers.
There's literally a doorway in the heart that opens when you start scribbling, but letting the heart run the pen, the show, the
Absolutely. Stop thinking so much. And it's free. The workshop is free this Saturday, October 19th.
I love it. Bravo Valenti, APL Spotlight Series. Looking forward to having you back on whenever we can. Thank you for being on.
Thank you. I love you, Michael. You are a one of a kind, and the world needs you more now than ever.
Thank you, Bravo. Same to you with all your art, all your enthusiasm, and all that you do to inspire others. Thank you for doing what you do.